Frontier Developments surprised their followers on YouTube yesterday by scheduling a video premiere for 6 PM UTC today, promising details of the next new ship to enter the game and an update on the next new feature coming to the game. The thumbnail for the video also featured a rear aspect view of a ship with an unfamiliar silhouette. This is it, it's finally reveal time. The first part of the video, which features a voiceover from Zach, the brand manager for Elite Dangerous, focuses on the launch of the Type 11 and on the successes of the Trailblazers colonisation update, giving some updated statistics on the numbers of systems colonised and stations deployed, etc. And it's here that Frontier hit with their first piece of really solid news from the video. The Trailblazers update will finally be ready to leave its official beta state on the 11th of November, some 8 months after launch, with an update that will include what FDev are calling quote a significant amount unquote of bug fixes and quality of life improvements to the BGS, power play and the colonisation feature. That's 1 week away as of this recording. And whilst we're still on the subject of colonisation, it's here that the video drops its first bombshell. A new variant of Starport, which was hinted at with an anniversary bobblehead last year, is now coming to the game. FDev will be introducing the Tier 3 dodecahedron Starport for Elite Dangerous. This design will be instantly familiar to veterans of the 80s Elite games, where it was considered a more advanced version of the classic Coriolis station, a theme FDev is continuing with its deployment in Elite Dangerous. The Dodec Starport offers several key advantages for your system. It brings a higher population and standard of living. It also increases tech, wealth and overall development levels. Crucially however, the Dodec will feature the Technology Broker service, something that is fairly ubiquitous in populated systems but cannot currently be found in any Trailblazer colonised systems, potentially making the Dodec an important asset for these locations. Before you get too excited though, there's a significant uncomfortable wiggle in this tale. The ability to build and deploy a Dodec station is a direct, outright purchase using ARCs, and it's not cheap. The cost is a chonky 50,000 ARCs, which translates to about £25 or your local equivalent. The purchase isn't an early access perk either, as is the case with new ships. This is a one-time purchase per account. Once bought, you can immediately deploy a single completed station, and any subsequent Dodec stations you want to build will require the old-fashioned method of hauling materials. You certainly don't need to buy a Dodec. You can of course still use other tech brokers or other players' Dodec stations as usual, but while this service doesn't appear to provide any significant in-game advantage beyond some passive income and nearby guaranteed tech broker access, the fact that a permanent game feature is now gated behind a monetary paywall marks a definite and concerning shift in monetisation tactics for Frontier Developments. Gating multiple features behind a paid expansion is one thing. Gating just one specific piece of content permanently behind a paywall is an entirely different thing, especially when that paywall is more than twice the cost of the whole Odyssey expansion at its current pricing level. If you are interested in purchasing a Dodec Starport, they will be available following the aforementioned game update on the 11th of November. The video then moves on to the next new ship to enter the game, and I can reveal now that the new ship is a large class vessel by Zorgon Peterson, and it's called the Caspian Explorer. Let's talk about the elephant in the room right away. Whenever a new ship is introduced to Elite Dangerous, rightly or wrongly, aesthetic features of that ship are picked up by the community, and any obvious design influences from movies, TV or other games etc. are pointed out. Well, those people are going to have a field day with the Caspian, because let's be honest here, in the concept footage FDev are showing of the ship flying past some of the game's familiar silicate crystals, it looks like it's jumped universes and crossed over from Star Trek. The bridge and forward area of the ship's hull is essentially a large flat disc, and there are centrally mounted engines to the rear and also some further engines set out on stubby nacelles. Interestingly, the concept images we've seen indicate that those nacelles retract for landing at the very least, with the forward intake grills on the engines retracting back into the rest of the nacelle housing at the same time. The ship's bridge even features design choices that would be right at home in Roddenberry's classic show, with a centrally mounted command chair flanked by auxiliary seating in a circular space with a large panoramic window at the front, making adequate seating for a total of 4 commanders. Frontier were keen to point out during the video that the Caspian, despite its size, has a small footprint spread amongst its 4 robust landing gear, making planet landings more practical. And as best as we can tell from the images shared, the entry and egress ramp appears to be in the centre of the ship aft of the saucer section's underside. Whilst it's not been specifically stated yet, it's a given that the Caspian would need to support an SRV bay, and Frontier have made no mention yet of any ship launched fighter support. At one point Zach did say something curious. When speaking about landing on a planet, his exact wording is, quote, "Mind that gravity though, you might even spot an interesting plating pattern on the hull," end quote. We obviously can't be 100% positive, but in our investigations Rini spotted this hexagonal pattern on the ship's texturing. We're diving right off the deep end into some speculation here, so take this for what it's worth, but hexagons are used in nature and in aerospace engineering to distribute pressure and increase strength whilst keeping your construction light. You'd do that if you wanted to enter a thicker atmosphere, and it's generally true that a thicker atmosphere would require a higher gravity to be present. Mind that gravity though. This is a similar hexagonal pattern design that is used on the SpaceX Starship to protect its underside during atmospheric re-entry. We're not suggesting Earth-like worlds, but could FDEV be about to open up some slightly thicker atmospheres beyond those currently available, and if they are, will access to those planets be locked behind access to the Caspian, and is all of this linked to whatever is waiting for us in HIP 87621? We'll leave you to wrestle with your own lengths of tinfoil when chewing that proposition over. The video also hinted that the Caspian was compatible with some new Mark II modules. Note the plural there for modules, further elaborating that one of the modules is an advanced Mark II FSD that provides improved neutron star supercharged jumps to a new level. It's fair to say that the Caspian will have some significant range capability on it. We do have our suspicions here that perhaps the Caspian's arrival has been timed to match nicely with the planned Distant Worlds 3 mass player expedition, which launches early next year, with the Caspian deploying into ARC's early access just before in early December. Following the news of the Caspian space monster, the announcement moves on to the much anticipated new feature. Originally earmarked for the end of this year, the feature has been delayed slightly, and so its release is now pushed back to early 2026. Whilst speculation has been fairly rampant as to what the new feature was going to be, ranging from ship interiors to gas giant atmospheric entry and more, I'm not sure that anyone had what Frontier are actually now announcing on their Elite Dangerous bingo card. The new feature, arriving early 2026, is to be called Operations, and it will introduce what FDEV are calling a new set of multi-phased scenarios for Odyssey players to engage in, and they can take place on foot as well as in space. Frontier further adding that they will introduce an opportunity for 4 commanders to jointly take on a challenging obstacle together. Operations will take gameplay to areas of Elite Dangerous never seen before. The specific example that Zach gave talks about destroying ships in space before boarding and exploring the internal space of a hostile megaship for the first time. And the video did indeed feature images of familiar but new internal spaces that haven't been seen in the game before. One space appearing to be what we're assuming is the engine room of the aforementioned megaship, filled, as it is, with multiple fusion reactors of the type seen at Odyssey surface installations, complete with the familiar control panel that usually allows you to disable those reactors and remove their power regulator modules. The initial release will contain multiple operations at varying levels of difficulty that can be repeated and give you access to rewards that are, in FDEV words, hard to obtain elsewhere in the galaxy. And in the future we can expect more operations to be deployed that focus not only on combat but also on mining and other activities in the Elite Dangerous universe as the feature matures. Whilst FDEV haven't been any more specific about the feature, we are wondering here if operations might be more akin to the Elite Dangerous equivalent of a dungeon or raid that you might expect to find in a more traditional MMO RPG such as Warcraft, etc. Rather than picking the mission up on random BGS driven happen chance at a starport, is it instead something that you might queue for or initiate from a menu option before being magically transported to the instance to participate and teleported back again when it's done? Getting a team together at a specific location to do a specific thing, given the size of the Elite Dangerous galaxy, was always a weak point in the game even before colonisation. Now that the bubble is so much bigger, an instantiated dungeon style experience that you're simply phased into no matter where you are in the galaxy when the queue pops might be a solution to that issue. If it is a dungeon style experience, there are questions around the resurrection of fallen team members or less punitive respawning mechanics. Healing of a fallen team member is not a mechanic that Odyssey on-foot gameplay currently supports, and if you're involved in a 20+ minute instanced experience that is tailored towards 4 players, losing Jimmy no shields in the opening moments of storming a hostile megaship could be seriously problematic for those left alive. In the images FDEV have released, we have spotted this object in the background, and we think this is a reused capture point asset from surface conflict zones that seems to indicate that there perhaps might be respawn points and likely timers involved to get round the resurrection problem, but we'll have to wait to see when FDEV releases more information at a future point. Either way, before operation drops there will be a balance pass to on-foot gameplay alongside the release of the Caspian Explorer in early December that also will include improvements to the game's NPC AI. Whilst almost a throwaway comment, this is actually huge news as it signals FDEV are returning to look more deeply at Odyssey on-foot specific gameplay, a move that I know will be welcomed by many, myself included. If you missed FDEV's video premiere, you'll find it linked in the description below this one. How do you feel about the monetization behind the deployment of the Dodec? Are you planning on taking your own trek across the stars in an early access Caspian? And how do you see operations fitting into regular Elite Dangerous gameplay? Let us know in the comments below. If you've enjoyed this video, remember to subscribe to the channel so that you see all our videos and community posts, and if you'd like to support our work here at the Burr Pit, you can also join us on Patreon. Links to that and everything else we've talked about in this video you'll find linked below. That's it for now. Thanks very much for watching. We very much look forward to seeing you next time.